It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. We certainly are excited to be with you today. One thing that I really enjoy is bringing on past guests back onto the podcast. And so today's guest is no exception to that enjoyment. Danny Collins is the founder of 37 North Expeditions. And if his name sounds familiar, well, it's because you probably heard him on episode 56. I know a lot of you have listened to every episode and religiously, and I appreciate that. I actually just met somebody the other day that said they drove across country and they listened to like 80 episodes. And I was like, wow, I don't even know if I would listen to myself for that long, but I appreciate the love and just the simple fact that once you create it, it's out there, right? And so Danny had a chance to share his love of the outdoors and his background and experience and why he birthed 37 North Expedition. And so he has really since I last spoke with him, and I guess that was 2020 or 2021, since I last spoke with him, he has not let any grass grow under his feet. And today's episode is a perfect example of that. Danny, how are you doing?
I'm great. So excited to be back on. Yeah, it's crazy. It's been that long, huh?
It has been a while, man. And I ran into you at an innovation lab event, and it was like I hadn't seen you in a while, and it was like during the pandemic. So, I was kind of like, should I hug you? Should I fist bump you or what? And all that good stuff. But you've had an expanded family since we were originally sat down and talked. And so you've got a lot going on, man.
Yeah, dynamic, definitely no rest when it comes to all personal and kind of work life, but super excited. Just such a special place we're in, and the dynamic is what keeps it fun, right?
Yeah, it absolutely does. So listen, real quickly, for the uninitiated, just tell them really quick, just give us your 30-second, who is 37 North Expeditions?
Yeah, 37 North Expeditions is, might think we're just a traditional guiding service, but really what we do is we curate exceptional outdoor experiences. We really specialize in the biking and paddling and other amazing activities that we have here in the Ozarks. And simply put, we're just trying to make it more accessible for all to get outside and see how beautiful our backyard is, whether you're a resident or you're a tourist coming in to visit. And we're just trying to help you understand the different and amazing variations of ways you can get out and see our amazing backyard.
Yeah. And I mean, and I would certainly encourage everybody to go check out their website, which we'll link to in the show notes, as well as a link to the previous episode. But you have a lot of unique programs, and I know you have like a program that includes caves and wine and just like the pairings of some of your outside expeditions, which are paired sometimes with alcohol and with beer and with wine and with some other events, full meals. I mean, you do it all. And so I think the ingenuity behind that is actually quite impressive.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, really what it is we're just trying to make it really, really fun and simple to get outside in different variations of ways and meet others that are wanting to do the same thing. And so a big thing what we do is provide the equipment and the transportation and stuff. But really, when it comes down to it, is us also, we take the planning steps out, which are cumbersome for a lot of people. And so let's just make this incredibly fun, unique, outdoor-based experience day. And whether that's for one of our single ticket sales events or your corporate group that we work with or your youth camp that we do a lot of youth stuff as well. It's really just about just show up. And so you can optimize your time, in exploration.
Yeah, I think so. You got the combination of being in the outdoors and taking advantage of the natural beauty that exists here in Northwest Arkansas and the team building aspects of a lot of the programs that you do. And so that when you marry those two together, it's perfect. It's actually, as I was sitting here thinking, I would totally imagine that you work with a lot of companies that are looking for ways to get out of the four walls of the office and build momentum through teamwork. And so, yeah, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's really, that's probably the biggest growing sector of our organization. And for so many reasons, it's the most exciting for us in a lot of ways too, is we see the value in the outdoors as being that environment to build those team bonding, those leadership skills. And especially in this post-COVID world, we're needing different ways to engage with each other because office time has changed in so many ways for so many organizations. And also it's just your more traditional happy hour situation. This is a focus on mental and physical health engagements together versus just one of these more traditional ways that's kind of lacking maybe those other benefits, right? And so the outdoors is what we have here. And so what better way to connect with it, even for your corporate groups? So yeah, definitely we do a lot from the tiny, startup companies all the way to the largest Fortune 1 that we have here. We work with a lot of corporate groups, and it's always a special experience.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's talk about Expedition Ozark. It sounds like the Amazing Race here in Northwest Arkansas, right? If the Amazing Race were a program that was happening locally, where there were teams involved and where there were some really unique programs built into this event. And I'd love for you just to kind of just talk about how this event came about and more specifically how you got involved with it.
Yeah, it's, to use the metaphors of comparisons to TV shows, it's actually, if anybody's heard of Eco Challenge, it really is. That's the sport of adventure racing, and that's what this is. And that's really when the first aspect of adventure racing came into existence. And then pretty more recently during COVID, you kind of had the world's toughest race. Bear Grylls hosted that. And that's absolutely what this is. It's the sport of adventure racing. It's been around for a really long time. At least as an adventure racer, in my opinion, it puts those Ironmen to shame. And it's literally, it's an expedition adventure race. There's a lot of different variations of adventure racing, but this one specifically is part of the Adventure Race World Series. So it's a circuit of expedition races across the world. It always culminates in a world championship every year. Last year, I got to go to the world champs in Paraguay. This year, my team's going to race in the world championships in South Africa. So it is a very cool circuit that's across the entire globe. We have 4 in North America only. So we're the 4th, which is amazing. You got 1 in the Northeast, you got 1 in Bend, Oregon, and you got 1 in Canada. So we're the 4th one, which is really spectacular. And so the really quick kind of understanding of what adventure racing is the more unique aspect to it. It's usually trekking, paddling, biking, and then it's all orienteering, right? So you get maps and you do the entire race by map and compass. So put it in perspective, there's no actual course. You get maps that have checkpoints located, and our course is going to be about 375 miles of a race. And you race 24/7 for 5 days. You got 120 hours. You sleep when you want, you stop when you want. But the idea is just go collect as many of these checkpoints as humanly possible with the time that you have. Generally speaking, these lead teams, and we do have 3 of the top 10 teams in the world coming to our race. We're estimating that these teams will sleep between 3 and 5 hours total for that 120 hours. So they'll be racing on average over 20 hours a day. And so it really is pretty spectacular to know what some of these athletes are achieving day and night, and completely and totally orienteering. And so in other words, just map and compass only. The entire course is its secret until the morning of the race. We hand them a set of, I can't tell you how many, but quite a few maps, and say, more or less, we'll see you in 5 days.
Wow. So it's almost like, you literally go into this and there is a certain aspect of the unknown that's involved.
Absolutely. It's kind of one of the thrills. So yesterday was a really exciting. So we have an expedition race, and it is sold out. We have over 10 teams or 10 countries represented at our race. And so yesterday was a really exciting day that we sent them actually the race schematic, which is a big deal for these races. Somewhere around a month out, you generally get what's called a race schematic, and it'll paint the picture of the different legs of the race to help you start planning a little bit. But again, the distances are hidden, the times are hidden, and it's very unknown, and it's pretty exceptional. I think beyond just the mental or the physical capacity to do something like this, but the mental capacity and the ability to navigate when you're, 48 hours without sleep is quite incredible. Yeah. And to me, how you asked earlier how I got involved, I have been adventure racing for about 15 years now. More recently got into the expedition length races and just kind of fell in love with that sport for so many reasons. I love to be in the woods. I am an avid paddler, trekker, and biker. And so getting to do it all in one experience. And it's just an amazing way to see a new place. And that's what I'm really excited for on the race director side. This will be my first expedition race that I'm directing. And my co-race director and myself have had just a blast connecting the dots to all these special places. You think about when you got 400 miles to travel, you can see everything we have here. And it's just been so fun to connect those dots and be able to understand. Yeah, I'm just really excited for everybody to see how beautiful our backyard is. And over 5 days, you get to see it.
Yeah. Now, are these teams, you said the teams are coming from all over the world.
Yeah, we got 10 countries represented.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. So like, just like you went to Paraguay and you're going to go to South Africa, there are people from other parts of the world that are going to be coming here to our backyard right in Northwest Arkansas. Yeah,
we'll have, a handful of teams from a real small handful of teams that are here relatively regional, which is really exciting because a lot of those, it's their first expedition. And then about 20 teams that are coming from all over the U.S., from coast to coast. And then we have, like I said, 10 different countries. We got France, Brazil, Australia, Spain, Ecuador, Denmark, Estonia, Brazil, and Canada. So super exciting to be able to, lots of people are hearing about Northwest Arkansas, but that's still exposure like we haven't heard of quite yet for one race. That's exciting.
No, it's like the United Nations of outdoor adventure. You're bringing it right here to our backyard. So that is exciting. So let me ask you this. What are the goals in terms of creating more awareness in this area for people, right? Because like you're telling me about this, I'm getting kind of excited. I'd love to maybe figure out how could I get my family involved or some friends involved if we wanted to do something similar to this. What are you hoping to accomplish from that perspective? Because clearly I'm not going to go out and embarrass myself with all of these amazing athletes, but I would love to know what your hope is with regard to what will happen post this event.
Yeah, I'll talk about post, but I also can talk a little bit about during, about ways to get involved. And so number one, we didn't even quite talk about this yet, but we actually have an 8-hour, so a much smaller version that is already sold out. But the idea behind that is to have a very miniature adventure race, an 8-hour style that's going to end on the same day as the expedition racers are coming in. So that whole day, which is going to be April 8th, is the finish of the expedition, and the start and finish of the adventure race is going to be just a huge festival, a huge gathering. We've pretty much taken over Lawrence Plaza and anything. 21C is our host hotel in downtown Bentonville. And so just going to have this incredibly amazing celebration with the expedition racers and also the 8-hour racers coming together. That's open to the community. We're going to have live music, free drinks. It's going to be just a very amazing gathering. So do hope that everybody can come and see that. On the front end, we're actually having an opening ceremony in the city of Fayetteville. Their Experience Fayetteville is sponsoring and host for our start. And so we all the racers are going to come in early. Saturday, we're actually taking them all to a Hogs game, baseball game. So we're going to really show them what that looks like. About 200 people going to be there at the Hogs game with us. And then we're having a flag ceremony hosted by Experience Fayetteville, where we'll have the whole community come out and welcome these different countries that are represented and get a chance to meet them and hear about their story before they start preparing on Sunday for the race. So that's a couple things that we got going on during the week. We're also going to have a watch party at the Hub Bike Lounge in Bentonville every single night. So in this sport, sorry, I'm talking a lot here, Randy, but
that's fine.
This sport is made for dot watching, and this new concept of technology has made it really, really fascinating. So these guys are going to be racing, 24/7, and they are not allowed to use GPS, but we do have a GPS tracker on them at all times. And so you'll be able to track them as they move through the course. And then we're going to have an evening social gathering at the Hub Bike Lounge every single night of the race. Come, grab some drinks, and just hear from a commentator on what happened while you were sleeping and working and what these guys did. And it's really special. Again, coming to a racer perspective, I leave my phone for 5 days and I come back and I have these weird messages from my wife at 3 a.m. when she's up with the kid, like, why are you not moving? Or where are you? So
right.
Dot watching is a fun thing.
Delayed response. No, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to have to participate in some of that, and we'll be sure to highlight some of the events surrounding the open and the close of this, so that folks that want to get involved or want to at least come out and be around that. I have found historically that if you want to do something, or if something sounds interesting to you, the minute that you take a time out of your schedule to be a part of something, even if it's something as small as coming to a watch party, that starts your involvement, right? And it starts with that. And then soon you find yourself up neck deep in mud and muck, and you're out in the elements, and you're just like, wow, how did I end up here? And well, you went to a watch party, and before you know it, you got sucked into the vacuum that is adventure racing and being outdoors. So no, I encourage anyone to participate in this. And if nothing else, what I'm always surprised about, Danny, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I'm always amazed when I talk to people here in Northwest Arkansas that really don't get out and take advantage just of the natural beauty that's here, whether it's going up to Hobbs State Park or Devil's Den or Hawksbill Crag or any of these places that are like literally at our doorstep. We have people that fly for thousands of miles to get here to take advantage of it. And I've talked to people that have never been to Mount Magazine, and I'm just like, man, you got to be kidding me. There is so much to see here just natural beauty in Arkansas, period. That's why it's called the natural state. But there's so much natural beauty here that you need to take advantage of it. And if you're just sitting on your couch every weekend, surfing on your phone and all this other stuff, put it down. Like Danny said, maybe not for 5 days, but put it down for a few minutes and get out and take advantage of the outdoors. And whether you utilize a program like 37 North Expeditions or, just getting out, there's just so many opportunities available to you.
Yeah, you're literally preaching to the choir in a sense that's the reason I started 37 North, was a moving back from being down in South America for some time. I moved back, and I just was absolutely dumbfounded by the amount of people that live around here that had never been to Ponca, Arkansas. That was literally, if I could say one thing, that's probably the reason I started the company. And so, yeah, you're right. And, there's so many special places. And what's special about the Ozarks is the diversity in the ways to recreate, to outdoor recreate.
Yeah.
And that is the reason in my mind that this place is made for an adventure race, right? It's just, the world comes to life in the Ozarks in the spring when the rivers are flowing and the water's high and you start to get the colors to come in. And so, that to me, this culmination of doing one race where you get to paddle, trek, and bike all at once is literally what the Ozarks stands for. That's what we're better than anywhere else in my mind in the country, if not the world, at having all those options in one place. Right. And so, yeah, you talked about it, but the goal is to start to have a bunch of different races on the calendar that fit into this adventure race or non-traditional multi-sport type races that will start to lead up to helping you work up to maybe doing Expedition Ozark one day and do a 5-day race. So you'll start to see more calendar, see more events from us that's in that 8 to 12 and then even that 18 to 24 hour range that helps you start to build up to the big one if you want to do it. But we could hold those 8 to 24 hour races in hundreds of different locations and what we have in the Ozarks. And that to me is what's just incredibly special. So absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So the 8-hour program is sold out. How many teams were you able to get into that?
Yeah, we closed it at 170 people. Racers
Wow.
was the number that we wanted to. It sold out in about 2 weeks. So pretty spectacular. And so that shows that there's a desire for crazy humans that want to go run around in the woods with us. And it's a perfect beginner one, and we'll do more of that. But, being the first year, we wanted to keep it at a very manageable number for lots of reasons. And but overall, incredibly excited. And there's a lot of people in that 8-hour race that have never done anything like this. And that is awesome. You got the gravel grinders that are hitting these amazing races that we have around here. You have the trail runners that also have such a great community here. But what's fun about this is you're going to start to see them culminate into kind of this, well, let's try out the other things, right? If I'm a runner, let's try out the biking and paddling and vice versa. And that's what's going to be excited. And I didn't even speak about this, but this is probably hands down my favorite thing about adventure racing in general is it's a team sport. Yeah, there are some races that you can do solo, but traditionally speaking, it's a team sport. You got to follow each other the whole time. You got to be within 100 feet of each other at all times in any race. So it's not a relay. The idea of the team is to take care of each other. And over a 5-day course, I promise you, every single racer will cry tears of stress and exhaustion. But the greatest thing is that you're not going to do that at the same time as one of your teammates, and they're going to be there to help you and pull you through it, maybe even literally pull you through it. And those 8 hours are the same way. It's in my mind, that's the thing that I'm a huge gravel grinder as well, but I love doing it with people. And so that the sport of adventure racing fits that for me a lot, as I love going out there and just being together with a fun group of friends.
Yeah, no, that sounds exciting. And honestly, I enjoy those types of programs because not only do you get to meet new people, but you also develop some bonds that kind of stand the test of time. I have lately shout out to the folks at the swim around Beaver Lake Dam, and I've done that 1 mile swim Oz, and that has been a lot of fun. And I've made some connections through that. And I've gotten out a couple of years in a row and done that race. And, as a college swimmer, in my mind, I'm still swimming the way I was swimming back in college, but I'm several pounds heavier and it's a much different ball game. But, I got in and didn't embarrass myself once again. So, and a lot of what really fueled me to get through it was just the camaraderie of the people around me. And I mean, everybody was high-fiving you before and during and after the race. And, even people talking to you while you were swimming, if you were a little off course or whatever. I mean, there's something about that. And so I would encourage anyone that has even remotely thought about getting involved with these types of activities. They're definitely here in Northwest Arkansas and available to you. And I would encourage you to kind of take advantage of it. Maybe you won't be able to do this program, but maybe there'll be other programs that Danny and his team and others will make available. And I would imagine that after this is successful event, there'll be plenty of others for you to partake in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just have such a great community here. Talk about our natural resources, but it's also just the community of outdoor advocates and lovers that we have here is just so special. And I think that that's what is I'm really excited about from a race director perspective. I'm so excited about creating just a course that stuns people, right? But also, traditionally in this sport, you end up coming across a finish line to a couple people clapping to you and then maybe hand you a free beer, right? But this I'm excited for. They're going to come across and we're going to have, I'm no doubt, because we do it big in Northwest Arkansas and we have such a great support community, we're going to come across and we're going to have this huge festival and everybody's going to get to share that experience and they're going to feel like rock stars that they are. And that really sums down to just this really, really amazing community of outdoor advocates that we have here. And yeah, you're right. Come and see these people and get inspired. And maybe it's adventure racing, maybe it's swimming, maybe it's not, but it's so many different ways to kind of partake in the outdoor adventures that we have here. And this is going to be a great place to come and just be surrounded by a lot of other people that love doing this stuff too.
Yeah. Now, is there a specific website that people can go to get more information?
Yep, expeditionozark.com. And that really feeds everything from racers to the community to get involved. Like I said, it's the race itself was Monday, April 3rd through Saturday, April 8th. Our two big events for the community will be April 1st in the evening in Fayetteville Square. We're going to have a big flag ceremony and welcome party for everybody. And then the big kind of finish festival will be on April 8th in downtown Bentonville. There at Lawrence Plaza area and 21C area. And then, like I said, the watch parties that'll be on Monday through Friday at the Hub Bike Lounge each evening. So those are kind of your main points to come and partake and support these amazing athletes and get inspired.
So will there also be an online version of that watch party as well? Like if somebody couldn't physically come to the Hub Bike Lounge, could they kind of go online to see where people are?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And we'll post that all into the website. Like I said, the dot watching we'll have live. You will be able to pull it up for the entire 120 hours and kind of see where those teams stand and see the leaderboard. And it's pretty fun to see it from that perspective. And then that will also have each evening, the watch party that's at the Hub will also have a live digital version that will be streamed that will kind of have commentator and so people talking about what has happened in the past 24 hours. Some of the experts are hosting that, not even here locally. They're going to be calling in from all over the world and be our hosts that really know this
Okay.
sport. So yeah, definitely,
Wow.
definitely many, many different options if you can't get there physically.
So, and I'm wondering before we close out, I'd love to just understand from a strategy perspective, how does somebody who knows that they're not going to get much rest throughout this 5-day period, how do you reconcile that with your mind? I mean, because in my head, I'm thinking, oh my God, I mean, if I don't get 5 hours a night, I'm done, right? So it's like, how do you reconcile that?
Yeah, it's there. That's probably the most unique aspect about this sport than any other sport that I know of. It's that idea of strategy, and strategy just doesn't mean how you're going to approach a checkpoint or how you're going to carry your pack. It means, well, sleep and nutrition strategy, probably more than anything for the sport like this. And so there are a lot of different ways out there. Some of the more expert teams kind of generally try to skip that first night of sleep, and then they try to get to that 40-ish hour mark. I mean, my team, I mean, it sounds really wild, but I know when I start hearing animals talking to me and I still know that it's not real, I know that's my time to
Right.
kind of like, well, hey, I'm now at an inefficient level of exhaustion where I need to go and get some sleep and stuff. So, but again, that's really where that team aspect comes into play too. I think it would almost be impossible to do something like this for so many people individually, but when you have it a team, you have different roles and responsibilities for your team, from nutrition and sleep and kind of carrying extra weight when people need it.
Yeah.
And you just talk through those things together. But it is an amazing race that does not just take place at this gun start, right? There's so much planning and strategy and preparation beforehand. Another amazing thing to think about is I carry 5 pairs of shoes, and day 4 and 5 are 2 sizes bigger because your feet just get so
Oh
big.
yeah. I would.
Um,
Yeah, I guess so.
yeah. So there's all
Man.
sorts of things that are just really amazing to think of when but really it's just put one foot in the other and keep going. But it's really, and as a race director, putting on my race director hat side, not my racer side, you don't want that stuff to be the reason. Most race directors don't want that to be the reason that somebody comes close to failure. So changing the activity type really does help. And so, in this race, we have about 14 different legs. So you will switch activity type 14 plus times through the race.
Wow.
And that's going to
Okay.
help a lot. But yeah, it's just push yourself to that sunrise the only way you can really advise people is just get to that sunrise and everything gets a little better.
Yeah. And actually, as you're saying that now, that kind of makes sense because I'm thinking about some of the different activities. It's like, man, maybe you can kind of not slack off, but when you're paddling and you're in a boat and you're not, your legs aren't moving, that's when you can kind of recover a little bit, and that makes a huge difference.
That's a perfect example of a team situation where, I've been in a race where we'll have 2 canoes for 4 people and we'll tie off 1 canoe in the back, 3 people in the front, and the back is 1 person laying down and sleeping for a little bit while we're still moving forward.
Yeah.
And so there's again, it's every team has a different strategy, but you do not underestimate the power of the teamwork in a sport like this.
Yeah. No, I love that. Well, this is exciting, man. I am really, first of all, I just want to say I certainly appreciate your heart to bring this aspect of our area to more people. And so thank you so much. And I have, since we originally met and did that episode 56 so long ago, I've constantly kept an eye on what you're doing. And I'm always amazed at even what you were able to do through the pandemic. So thank you so much for bringing this program to our doorstep. And I certainly encourage folks to get involved. And if people want to help you out, they listen to this and they're like, I want to help Danny out any way that I can, please let our audience know how they can help.
Yeah. Go to expeditionozark.com and email us via there. You can email me, Danny, at expeditionozark.com directly. And we have plethora of different needs when it comes to volunteers. We already have such an amazing crew of networks of volunteers. I think 30 plus people are going to help us out for that week already. But yeah, that's the only way that you're going to get to know the special places and get to go see these racers as they kind of come through transition areas and stuff. So yeah, if you're interested at all, reach out. We got needs, so many different needs for kind of helping hands at the festival or the race itself. But And then, yeah, reach out if you've got questions about the sport or the future of the sport here. I mean, myself, Jason Bettis, and my co-race director, myself, have lots of really fun plans for future iterations of this race and others. And just like you said, I think that this is such a cool, in one weekend, we're going to bring probably, hundreds of new people to Northwest Arkansas that have never been here from literally across the world. And then we're also going to introduce hundreds of new people to a sport that they've never done that live here locally. And so from both angles, this is a really cool event that I think is just very powerful. And I'm so honored to be a part of it, and had just a blast designing this route. It's been so fun to find every single random curve in the river and tree in the forest and these epic gravel roads that we have out there. So yeah, it's super fun.
I'm sure people will be surprised when they finally see the full on map of what you've designed. I think it's going to be interesting. So, but yeah, no, that is great. Do you still need swag items? I know you mentioned that in a letter that you sent me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. Again, we're looking to represent local businesses for sure. Festival at the end is going to be amazing. You're going to have a chance to kind of be in the eyes of lots of different local and people from all over the world. And so absolutely, if you have any ability to help out physically or giving us some swag items or any ideas, we're going to have a real fun check-in with all these different racers, and love to pad that back to ideas. So yeah, reach out with anything or anything you got. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We will do that. And I'm going to try to get this episode out right away, because I certainly want to give people some time to respond back to you. And I'll have you give us all the ways to connect with you on our show notes, so that anybody listening to this will be able to reach out to this episode and connect with Danny and the rest of the team and learn more about this event. And so, yeah, we will certainly do that. And listen, I want to also give a shout out to Danny and his generosity. I reached out to him a couple of months ago to request, or not to ask rather, but to see if 37 North Expeditions would be kind enough to donate one of their outdoor excursions to the Arkansas Advocate for Children and Families. And for those of you that don't know, and this year in 2023, I was not the spokesperson, but I was kind of like the person in charge for this past year's event, which happened on February 5th. As the date that we're recording this, it is the 3rd of March, 2023. But, everybody donated to that event, and we raised, I want to say we raised almost $200,000. It was the most money that we've ever raised for Arkansas Advocate for Children and Families, and it goes right to their bottom line. And Danny was kind enough to donate an outdoor excursion with 37 North Expeditions. And I just wanted to publicly thank you again for doing that. And we actually teamed you up with Andrew Gibbs Dabney, who makes some of the best outdoor clothing from Lives in Design. So shout out to Andrew. He's doing amazing things. Danny, you're doing amazing things. But, I always say, hey, we got to give folks their flowers when they're on this side of it. So those are your flowers to say thank you for your willingness to donate. And we look forward to the folks that actually won that auction to hear about their experience with you guys. So thank you again for doing that.
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, it takes an army, right? And no doubt, it's funny how everything comes together. All our guys wear Andrew's pants, Lives in Pants on our excursions. You have been such a huge support system to kind of help a small business get the highlights and the exposure we need. Yeah, we just live in such a really cool place. And you just named 3 completely different angles that we all came together to create a powerful unit and a reason that people want to live and come visit here, right? So thank you to what you do as well on that. And just the podcast in general is one of my most amazing ways to honestly, truly, to find what's going on here and keep track of all these different industries and this new stuff that's happening literally daily. So
I know it's hard. I'm doing the best that I can to keep up. So, I appreciate that. And that certainly is fuel for me, just like what you're doing is amazing fuel for anybody else that's out there that wants to get involved with the outdoors here in Northwest Arkansas. So Danny Collins, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We really, really appreciate it. And again, folks, if you listen to this all the way to the end, check out the show notes. There'll be a lot of valuable information on there. Please, if you decide to go help Danny out, connect with him and his team. If you go to one of the watch events, if you go to the opening on the 1st of April in Fayetteville, or if you're at the ending event on the 8th of April, certainly reach out to one of the team there and just let them know that you heard about it here on the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast, and just give them a high five and thank them for putting us on the map. So, but thank you so much, Danny. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate it. And yeah, thank you for exposure. Thanks to our sponsors that are making this event, happen. Visit Bentonville, experience Fayetteville and the state of Arkansas itself. And then also, the Ozark Outdoor Foundation. So again, just thank you to everybody involved. And yes, please do say thanks to all those and every single person, volunteer, staff that's involved in this, because it is a big undertaking, and we have had a blast doing it only because it's been such a great amount of people, just great people involved. So thank you again. Awesome. And hope to see you guys on the 1st or 8th.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely be there for something. I'm not sure what, but I'm going to put it on my calendar. So thank you so much, Danny.
Yep. Take care.
All right, folks, there you have it. Another episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. I hope you enjoyed that. Danny is such an outstanding individual, and I love what he's doing at 37 North Expeditions. And if you are even remotely someone that likes to get out or want to get out, this is the guy that you need to be around, rub shoulders with him and his team. And I'm telling you, it's infectious. You will start to realize that, oh man, I've got to take advantage of this great area here in Northwest Arkansas. So I certainly want to encourage you to do that. Remember, our podcast comes out rain or shine every Monday. So please subscribe to it or follow us on Apple, Spotify, whatever is your podcast player of choice. We would love to have you join us there. And we appreciate all of the folks that are listening to our podcast. And as a reminder, we are now partnered up with KUAF, and we will be on Ozarks at Large, a featured segment every Tuesday. And what we'll try to do is through our newsletter, if you aren't subscribed, you need to think about subscribing. But through our newsletter, we will share that segment when it comes out so that you have a chance to listen to it. And what I have told everybody that's either been on the podcast or listened to all the episodes is that sometimes you'll hear older episodes featured because they're evergreen, or maybe you'll hear something that was just done recently. So it's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to get your daily dose of I Am Northwest Arkansas. But we really appreciate you guys. And I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for your support for this platform. Remember, this platform is for you. So if you have any ideas, if you want to hear somebody on this podcast, maybe if you want to be on the podcast and we have space to get you on, we would love to make that happen. Just reach out to hello@IamNorthwestArkansas.com, or you can visit our site, IamNorthwestArkansas.com. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and we'll see you back here next week with another new episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.